it is Kendall, and today I'm going to be showing you how I drew with an art block because it was 2 in the morning and I knew I had to draw something, but I didn't know what exactly I was going to draw. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you how I came up with something and how I usually overcome my own art blocks, and I hope it inspires you. So without any further ado, let's begin. Right off the bat, looking at this page, it was pretty intimidating, especially because it's blank, it's white, and it's also not a small piece of paper. I was trying to think of practically anything that I could put on here, and at this point I decided, you know what, no matter how weird it is, no matter how strange it may look, no matter how out of the ordinary this drawing may be, we're going to put it down because at the end of the day, art is something that's creative. It comes from your mind. It's not something that's supposed to be picture perfect or copy and paste, and that really helped me when it came to not blocking ideas consciously or unconsciously. It's a little bit difficult to see what I'm actually doing right now, but it is going to come together. Listen, trust the process. All I kept thinking though when I was drawing this was, I was like, this is such a strange drawing, and I actually was about to not draw it simply because of how weird it looked, and I was like, a lot of people aren't gonna like what I'm drawing right now. They're gonna think it's ugly. But then I realized, hey, the point isn't to make a drawing that is always cute or always fits a certain popular look or popular style at the time. Is to create my own style and allow my own vision to come to light. A big part of doing this though is also allowing yourself to make something that may not come out exactly like your vision. And when I say this, is my goal is of course to make my drawings look the way that I think that they look in my head, but at the same time understanding that new ideas may flow, new ideas may come in, a change of mind may happen, and there doesn't need to be over strictness when it comes to your creativity, over strictness when it comes to your art. There doesn't have to be a certain outline that you 100% have to follow, regardless of what happens, what new ideas occur, how something comes out. You could do a line and that inspires a whole different drawing just from one line that came out differently than what you wanted it to initially. And that's a part of the beauty of art, is sometimes you don't even know what you're creating until you've created it. And back to this drawing in particular, that did indeed happen. I decided to go back with thicker lines and put some lines in lighter lines, and as I was doing it, there was times where I was thinking, I don't know if this is gonna look good. I might add this line and it may look ugly. Or maybe I'm adding a line in here and I didn't have it in my original sketch. And I'm like, oh, is it gonna look good or is it gonna look trash? And with it being an outline, of course, this right here I'm not doing with pencil. So if I do it, it's going to be pretty permanent. And that right there is a risk that I don't think is very often talked about, the risk in drawing and trying something new when it could realistically ruin or distract, or just distract, even if it's just you're the only person who notices this part of the painting or the drawing or whatever it may be that came out a little different or a little strange. The risk of having that happen is really big in art, and it causes us to try to play safe and literally everything that we're doing, every line that we do, every stroke that we do. And under certain circumstances, I do think it is good to play safe, as it is good to really start to master certain techniques as you go. But also when it comes to being more risk taking with each stroke that you take, it could come out trash, but it could also come out absolutely amazing. It can teach you a new art skill, it can teach you a new style, it can teach you a new way of doing things that you would have never taken the risk to try if it wasn't for you doing that in that moment. You wouldn't have actually been able to fully discover this new creative style if you didn't take that risk. And though it does sound simple, allowing yourself to be free when it comes to your art creation, not being so stressed and so particular about every single stroke, it can be so freeing. You do want to know what you're doing. You do want to make sure that, you're practicing these skills. But again, once you take the risk of trying something new, it opens up so many more creative possibilities for yourself. Now, this is the part where things started to head a little bit downhill, because as I started drawing, I realized that my marker was literally almost out. I was seeing white on the tips of my marker. It was that dried out. The pigment was nowhere to be found. And what I must say, okay, first off, this took me nearly 20 minutes just to do this one base color on the face and ears. Just that. It literally almost took me 20 minutes. And I'm just going to speed this part up real quick because it literally took so long. I do like Copic markers, I won't lie. They layer really well, they look really good, they blend really well, but my biggest issue with them is that they dry out so quickly. I have some alcohol markers from a different brand, and I actually got them at least a year before I got the Copic markers, and these things are drawing like they're brand new. While on the other hand, my Copics are like, half of them are tried out. Half of them. Even some of the ones I'm like, I barely use these ones. And once again, some of my other markers, I've had them for longer, they've sat out for longer, and yet they're still juicy. So, on the bright side though, I thought that the color and like the patchiness was gonna look really, really bad. But due to the nature of the drawing and it already being strange, it just kind of added some nice texture to the drawing. So, it worked. So anyways, after torturing through that, I'm glad that I'm done. And now it's time for my favorite part, which is the shading. The shading for me is so satisfying. A drawing can go from looking flat and fairly undetailed to being extremely detailed and not looking flat. It adds so much to the drawing. It elevates the drawing so much to add shading. And I'll be real, I used to not add that much shading when I began drawing a lot. It wasn't necessarily on purpose. I would add it, but I didn't make it super dramatic. But the more that I draw, the more I'm like, I really, really like dramatic shading. It adds so much. And in this drawing, honestly, I could have gone heavier in the shading. So I'm going to do that next time. But it just adds so much character. And I know there's like a whole thing about, where shading is supposed to lie according to its light source. And to be completely frank, I just put shading where I feel like putting shading. Like I don't follow rule or anything. Like I'm trying to learn. But honestly, if it looked good, it looks good. Now here I'm going in with a second deeper shade just to highlight those shadows. Now here I'm going in with a little bit of a creamish color for the eyes. You can also use pink, but I really like adding some type of extra color instead of just leaving them white. It helps to make it look more detailed and a tad bit more realistic. And for a drawing like this, just the smallest amount of realism added can make it look even more unsettling. For the background, I really wanted to have something slightly chaotic. There's already a lot going on in this drawing, and there's a lot of unknown, and it really gives that feeling of confusion and fear at the same time. So I wanted the background to somewhat emulate that. The drawing is now complete. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider sticking around and clicking that subscribe button. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.